Cast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Just adjust that real quick. Good morning, everybody. John Briggs, Client Implementation Manager here with Tony. We're going to start in just a moment. We want to give people another minute or two to get into today's webinar. So we'll see you and talk to you soon. Hey everyone, long time no talk. John Briggs again, Client Implementation Manager at Transfinder. And I am joined as always by the President and CEO of Transfinder, Antonio Civitella. Tony, good morning to you. Happy Thursday. Happy potentially over 60-degree day in 2021.
Happy Thursday, and yes, so at the office we have this challenge. I think I started this challenge in the fall, which I think it was like the very last 60-degree weather, and so there was a challenge like can you guess when's the next one? And so we're gonna find out who's the winner for today, because I always say this is like months ago. I think it's around November. Like, when is it going to be the next 60 degrees? And we have some smarties, some really smart people, as you guys know, in the company. And I'm sure there's going to be some ties. There's definitely, I think somebody said September 1st. I think they're not going to make it. So Joe Altieri out there, you said September 1st. I know it. He's in a much warmer weather. He's not in upstate New York. But guys, let's do it.
Let's do it. So this is part 4 of the 4-part webinar series that we've been presenting for you. And again, it's been Tony and myself for all 4 of those sessions. I can't say much right now, but for Transfinder. In fact, we may have something coming in the next month or so. And so more information on that as we continue on with today's presentation. So stay tuned for that. But part 4 of our 4-part webinar series, we're excited. We're going to be doing a little David Letterman style top 10 list. Did you know about some of the products that we've been talking about over the last 4 sessions? I may have touched on some of these during the previous presentations, but I really wanted to make sure that I was fully explaining and giving you an understanding of what our products truly have to offer. A couple pieces of housekeeping before we get started. You can hear us, you can see us. we can't see you, we can't hear you, but that doesn't mean you can't communicate with us. There is a questions panel that you are able to submit questions during today's presentation, and some of you have already taken advantage of that. I see Deb, you already confirmed that you have the audio, so it's great that you can hear us. Tony Sullivan mentioning enjoying 60 degrees in Minnesota before us. So hey, you know what? I'm not going to look down on anybody. If you can get some nicer weather, please enjoy that. Short sleeve shirts, shorts, go outside, get a sunburn. You know, I'm going against dermatologist recommendations, but that's how excited I am. So, Tony, how about we get started?
I think. Listen, let's get started. You know, we probably a lot of people thought, wow, this is it. You know, it's the part 4 of 4, which means there's some sort of a hug out session. Which, you know, we're still pretty close. We're at least, you know, like I think we're arm's length away, so that we're at least 6 feet apart. So people thought like you guys are gonna hug it out or something. Well, guess what? We're not ready to hug it out yet. We're not safe yet at that point. But guess what? We're gonna continue doing this, and stay tuned for some more fun things. You know, why end a good thing? Right. So cool. So let's do it.
Perfect. Getting some greetings from Texas as well. Ohio chiming in with the temperatures. I feel like we're Al Roker. It's the Today Show here.
That's awesome.
Let's do some. If anyone's turning 100, let us know in the chat. Maybe
we should actually be the next challenge, right?
Yeah.
We should have a challenge. Who's going to reach 100 first? So maybe we could have that as another time. So, or send us emails if there's something you want to share with that. You guys can always do that. Don't just use this platform to share ideas, and just send us some stuff. Just email him, marketing@transfinder.com or either one of us. So love to hear from you. So go ahead.
Perfect. All right. So in case you have not been hanging out with us over the last 4 sessions, wanted to highlight some of the products we have to offer and share some considerations on those products. So Routefinder PLUS, something we're going to be talking a lot about today. Allows you to create planned trips. You can utilize your local knowledge and then put that into Plus so you create the best trips possible. Plan with safety as the highest priority. We're always keeping safety at the top of our minds and the forefront of our minds as well, because safely picking up and dropping off, nothing else matters if we can't do that. So we can prohibit student crossings, we can restrict travel on dangerous roads as well. And finally, what good is a routing solution if you can't have the most up-to-date information in there? So we give you the ability to import information from your student info system into Routefinder PLUS. And actually one of the topics of today is how we've improved our import functionality. So I'm excited to share that with you. I'm jumping right into this. Did you know? With Routefinder PLUS, students that fall within a non-eligibility zone or NEZ can be automatically excluded from receiving transportation. Now, for any of you folks who have used Routefinder Pro in the past, you may have used a process where you created a walk zone trip, as an example, or a non-eligibility zone walk zone trip, and assigned kids to that, and that was how you did it. We have a formal process now in Routefinder PLUS in place. So you create a non-eligibility zone. If a student is geocoded, is located within there, they can automatically be excluded from receiving transportation. And this is something you can see on your map canvas at any time.
And I tell you, so, you know, the shapes are exactly, you know, a certain distance if you want to use it. This is a walkout distance. You could use as radius, but you know, the other thing too, is, you know, you're talking about who should exclude from being eligible, rather not eligible. But one thing that we want to make sure we know, like, you know, those little like tentacles right there, you could go there and modify them just like you can in our stop boundaries. In addition, you could create little donut holes. Like, what are you talking about? What donut holes can mean, hey, even though you're in that area that it's all this is non-eligible, but maybe in that section, you are eligible because, you know, maybe it's between multiple highways. So there's no way you can walk to school. There's so many things in here. And in addition, you could even put filters to include or exclude in addition to just a shape. This feature is massive. So I would love to know how many people actually use this. because clearly before with Routefinder Pro, you would create trips, which has all that functionality. We had to create a trip in order to get kids now eligible for other trips. So I would love to hear people's feedback on this one.
So this is a presentation to help inform our clients and anyone else across the North America who wants to learn more about Plus. But Tony, I'm learning about you now. I'm learning that you're a donut guy. Personally, I'm a Swiss cheeser. Okay, so you have your donut guys, your Swiss cheese guys. Oftentimes it comes down to simply lactose intolerance. Which one?
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, you're right, but you don't really know. You really have to get the Swiss cheese to find out if there's holes or not. You have to just imagine there's holes in Swiss cheese. Donut, there's a hole you can just see right there. So that's the only thing.
All right, let's keep going.
We're getting let's get going, guys.
All right. So did you know trial stops? If you have been in transportation for more than a day, you know that right now we are living in a world of what ifs. What if this were to happen? What if our students were to come back to school next week? What if half our student population was set to come back to school next week? Living in what ifs, we want to give you a tool within Routefinder Plus where you can test out those what ifs. And one of the ways you can do that is by using what we call a trial stop. You can place that trial stop. You can get a sense of how far out it goes if you have a walkout zone. You can also get a sense of how many students would be picked up or dropped off in that trial stop. What's great here is you'll be able to see everything on your map, including the student assignments. You can see 9 students assigned here. But really the important part is it's not a formal part of your trip. You're just seeing what it looks like. And if you want to incorporate it into your trip, you can, but you have that choice. And that's really the important piece.
I got to add to this because people are thinking, what is this about? By the way, this is one of the oldest feature that was created, one of the first feature created in Plus before you guys got it in your hands, or because this is a way for us to experiment. We do a lot of experimenting at the company. It's one of the first feature to say, hey, how is this new routing going to work? How is this, making sure we capture the kids not crossing the road and prohibiting all that kind of stuff, which I think most of you have been hearing about it. This is a really like one of the first one. It's almost like, like the Big Bang, that like within like the half a second. This is like about the half a second after the Big Bang. So clearly we thought it was such a cool thing that it stayed as a feature, because this is part of our experimental phase, is like that half a second after the Big Bang. But guess what? You could just see these are the things that we had in the system. We thought was such a cool things that we just kept it in there. So a little tidbit there.
Thank you, Tony. Did you know that Routefinder Plus allows you to identify the specific corner for your pickup and for your drop off? So this selection will then help to inform your driving directions to that stop and away from that stop as well. As the client implementation manager, I have a pretty large team here at Transfinder who are helping clients all across North America get up and running with Routefinder Plus. And one of the things that I've learned is each state has their own separate regulations. And I'm thinking of California in particular with this one. I know by working with a lot of California clients and by visiting on site with a lot of California clients, any group stop at an intersection, you need to specify specifically which corner that pickup or drop off is occurring. Is it northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast? We give you the ability to not only specify that, but also have that inform the driving directions too. So this is going to help a lot of clients, I'm sure, in California and even outside of California.
And remember, picking which side of the corner you're going to be picking kids up. Then when we have this whole prohibit students crossing, at that point, if it's within that same quadrant, this is really, there's only 2 sides of that corner that kids could walk there safely if you have sidewalks and not worry about the crossing. So a lot of cool things in here. Again, somebody just asked about what is that blue line in non-eligible zones. Yes, it represents the walkout zone. So really, remember, like I mentioned, it's the half a second after the Big Bang of Plus. That was exactly where it came with. And really, a lot of times, probably a lot of you create stops using Polygon. That's one of multiple ways you create stop boundaries. One of them is actually a walkout, which is it's one of my favorite. And then you could have a clipping and you could modify, stretch it, and so forth. So, but a lot of cool things in here. And I think the non-eligible zone here. People are talking about how do you get kids in a grid. There's so many filters you could do with that. And again, I know we should have hold off on question and answers at the end, but I felt like it was such, it makes sense to answer that right now, because kids, when you create your non-eligible zones, you could then create these reminders that way. As kids come in every single night, they more than fit, fill in that list. So you could do reports, reminders, so tons of stuff in there. Highly recommend experiment with that. So cool.
That's the thing, options with Routefinder Plus. We throw out all the options and then you tell us what works best for you. So thank you, Tony. Let's keep on going. All right, I bet you there is at least one district in this presentation, at least one, but probably closer to 40 or 50, that deal with midday trips. Midday trips are those when you have half-day programs, especially important for preschool or for kindergarten. Maybe there's a midday trip, one midday, where you're dropping off the students from the morning session and picking up the students in the afternoon. Makes total sense, especially if you're encountering a driver shortage. We want to make sure we're using our resources as best as we can. In Routefinder Pro, and in other systems, there may be ways to create midday trips where you're doing this and doing that and adding exceptions. Well, you don't need to do that in Plus. We've made it, again, streamlined and easy for you to do. Simply when you're going in to create a trip, you can see that big blue arrow pointing to the both option. So you can say a trip is both to school and from school in Routefinder Plus. Again, we know a lot of you are dealing with those midday trips, and we wanted to present you with an option. So Tony, I think this is one of those examples where the best ideas are coming from our clients and their own personal experiences.
Well, I tell you, the both category, which we actually had it, believe it or not, in Routefinder Pro 7.0, I think we had it. So some of you stuck around. We removed it because we changed our whole data structure back then a little while. So we thought we got to bring this thing back, but it's so much nicer. The both categories are completely my favorite. You could have schools bookends back in school A beginning and school A at the end. And by the way, that whole technology, whether it's a to school, from school, or even shuttles, you could right click on a school and say, I want to replicate that. So you could actually go to the same school more than once on the same normal standard to school or from school trip. So there's so many cool things. Please use the right click menu on your mouse because things just light up. And of course, use people like John Briggs too to learn more about our products.
Thank you, Tony. So get to create those midday trips, everybody. Did you know? All right, so not only in student transportation are you dealing with the students that do require transportation, getting them safely on and off of the vehicles, but you also have to account for the students that may not receive transportation, or they may have special circumstances like transfers. So again, we're hearing from our clients what they need, and we're making changes. We're adapting Routefinder Plus to meet that demand. So let's talk a little bit about ineligible students. On your unassigned student settings in your map canvas, you can have students that are ineligible for the trips that you're working on appear on your map. And you may think, why do I want to show ineligible students? Well, here's a great example. Transfers. You're going to have situations where a student is picked up or dropped off from a school that's not their school of attendance. And in that instance, you want to make sure that those students appear on your map so you can get them on the appropriate transfer buses. This allows you to do just that, and you can visualize that on your map canvas in your routing palette as well. I want to hear from people in the questions who has midday trips and who has transfers that they think Plus could help them out in those different situations. Because again, we've heard from our clients in the past. That's why we're bringing this to light in Routefinder Plus, and so we want to hear from you. Getting a lot of people saying one or both are in play at their operations at their districts.
You know, there's Dan, I like what Dan just put a question. Can there be a time lock on both ends of the trip for midday trips? That's actually a great idea. So in other words, a time of day, and we've been experimenting with time of day. with that. It's almost like a time window. I think you'll see some cool things in there, but that's a good idea. We don't have that right now, but we've been talking about what does it do for especially with a lot of you are doing a lot of special needs routing, and of course there's special requirements means I'm only available. This student can only this student can only be picked up between the time of 8 and 9 a.m. and this is where you see that's coming soon. That type of technology, we're getting it. So I think look for time of day. There was another question I just saw, something about I think it was related to that. What was that? Something about use up. Jen, you said something when I use this option, my students do not show up on the student grid with their from school trip bus number. Any idea what happens? I'm not really sure. Was that referring to the non-eligible zone or just normal grid? So maybe we could talk offline. So we'll get your information. We'll find out what that means. But I think a lot of people use both transfers. How about transfers? It was a lot difficult, a lot more steps in Pro. It worked great, but you had to be a lot more precise. Right now, based on what John just showed you, you guys could just really create. You don't have to anticipate or actually start thinking about, well, we're gonna have Tony take the shuttle bus. You know, you could be creating this trip and realize, we're gonna put Tony on this trip right now. That just opens up huge opportunities right there. So cool things.
Speaking of transfers, one more thing I wanted to mention here too. I've run across in my time implementing Routefinder Pro clients where there are students that have more than one transfer. And again, no clean way to necessarily do that in previous systems. In Routefinder PLUS, you have the ability to create as many transfer points as you need for a particular student. So if you have a double transfer, if you have a triple transfer, which sounds like a figure skating move, you can actually do that in Routefinder PLUS.
Good question here. Michelle is saying we have multiple trips, and obviously that's how you're doing it right now. You're using multiple trips, and now you don't need multiple trips anymore. It's one big trip. So Michelle, actually, she just said thank you for answering that question. So very cool stuff here.
I think I have something for her coming up in the next couple slides here too, so be on the lookout for Michelle. All right, let's keep going. A lot of great feedback so far from everyone, so thanks for participating. It makes this a lot more fun for Tony and myself. We just got a mention of locking in times at the beginning and the end of a trip. We have updated the functionality for locking in times. Routefinder PLUS, take a look at that screenshot on the left-hand side. You see another big blue arrow pointing towards a padlock. What that means is you can lock any stop time in the sequence of your trip. So if you have a trip that has 27 stops and you know stop 14 has to be exactly at 2:47 p.m., you can lock that in. What that does is it will inform all the times before that stop and all the times after that stop as well. So again, you can do the beginning, you can do the end, or you can do something right in the middle. Throwing out those options, you choose what's best for you. We alluded to this a little bit here, but I wanted to go a little bit more in depth on imports. Imports, really important. I talked about this at the top of the Routefinder PLUS description. Having the most up-to-date information. Who's virtual? Who's an A student? Who's a B student? Who was virtual and is now coming back as of last night, and we need to get them on a trip. All that information will help to inform Routefinder PLUS. And we give you more functionality and more ability for imports in Routefinder PLUS. Before, you had one import that you could put into one database, which worked for a lot of people. But we also heard from clients that said, we want to maintain multiple databases and have automation so all of them are as up to date as possible. We are now doing that in Routefinder PLUS. You can automate as many imports as you want into any database you want. Tony, I know you're excited about this.
I tell you, and I'm sorry you were in the middle of thoughts, so I interrupted you, but there's so much. Data integration is key. We've always heard about garbage in, garbage out. We always heard about that. So data accuracy and all that processing is important. So we went off the chart with this because we knew that if we don't get the right data, if you don't get the right data into our system, forget it. You're actually going to blame that we don't have the right functionality, but really a lot of times you don't have the right data coming in. But so experiment. There's so much you can do with bringing data in. Again, what I love about this functionality, have it done at 2 o'clock in the morning. That way, by the time you get in, you can get emails on who just got in, who were just geocoded, which kids could not be geocoded because maybe they have something weird in there. But you could walk into your office and have all those things to do to clean up your 2 a.m. Import. So a lot going on with this. This is such an amazing feature. I'm sure everyone's using it. They have to. Nobody's just entering kids. I don't think so. Or if they are, it's very few.
Yeah, when people went live in the fall for school, if they did have transportation, typically it was broken down A, B, and then virtual. So they wanted to have that most up-to-date information in all of those databases, and we were able to facilitate that. So happy to do that for everybody. Did you know, and this is going back to Michelle, something you were talking about, one big trip that maybe was 2 trips or 3 trips before that. I think I've touched on absorption a little bit when we were talking about sequencing and optimization, but let's talk more in depth. Trip absorption is a new option within Routefinder PLUS, and here's what it allows you to do. Consolidation. You can take one big trip, or you can take multiple trips, I should say, and turn them into one big trip, or maybe other trips that are optimized to be the best versions they can be. This process may have taken you hours on end, days on end, weeks on end to plot out before, but now there's simply throw those trips on your routing palette in your map canvas, hit that absorption button that you can see right there, and we do the work for you. Tony?
I tell you, this is one of those things that, am I muted? No, you guys could hear me, right? I'm sorry. It's one of those features that, as we're really hammering on optimization and really the efficiency side of the house, there's just so much going on. Expect to see even more things here. There's a question that Crystal asked about manually, and could you have an import system? And yes, you could have, you could import nightly, but of course the non-public students, you might have to manually enter those. So therefore, you can do combination. And sorry, Tony. Tony says that he would love to get everything's being manually entered. So clearly, you want to get everyone to 21st century. Take your time. 22nd century. We got a ways to go. So you're good. You're good. I'm just joking about that. But I think, Crystal, clearly you could do both. You could import and manually update. But listen, back to this screen right here, the absorption of a trip, massive amount of calculation going on there, and see more things being expanded in the future. A lot of enhancements.
Thank you. It's one thing to plot out changes. It's another thing to actually enact those changes. And it's not just moving stops. It's not just changing the drive path. Ultimately, what it comes down to is the impact on the community. How are those families? How are those parents who work at a specific time, those kids who expect to be picked up within a certain window? How are they going to take to these changes that we're trying to enact? Well, let's take a look, because we have what we're calling a trip sequence optimization impact. So when you do run some of these processes within Routefinder PLUS, not only do we show you what that looks like on the map, but we show you the impact it has on your community as a whole. I'll break down a little bit of what you're seeing on the left-hand side so you have a better idea of what I'm talking about. So on the right-hand side of the screenshot, you can see that we have 2 different bar graphs, one showing the original time and the original distance that's traveled, and then we have the optimized time and the optimized distance. So you can see that we were able to make a slight adjustment, a little bit less mileage traveled, but the impact on a time perspective was pretty immense, meaning we probably swapped around some of the stop orders to improve that time and to make things a lot more efficient. So you're thinking to yourself, that's awesome, that's great, let's start this tomorrow, let's do it. But one more thing to think about. Take a look on the left-hand side. How does this impact those students that are getting on and getting off the bus? Well, we show you by showing you the number of minutes that they're impacted by. So we can see with these changes on this trip, most students are going to be impacted by at least 20 minutes, meaning that there's going to be at least a 20-minute swing one way or another on their pickup or drop-off times. That's huge for a lot of families. So there needs to be a lot of thought that goes into that. And again, we're showing you another wrinkle in these changes.
Man, I'm just trying to figure this out here. Like, holy cow, how can this be? You barely like changed the mileage on this one trip, John, but you got this massive amount of minutes saved, really an improvement. And of course, you might have to put up, with some parents complaining about changing. Like, holy cow, I can't believe this. I always talked about for years, how your trips throughout the year devolve. Is that even a word? It is a word. Okay, good. They devolve, they actually get worse. And why? It's not because you want to, because you want to minimal impact Mrs. Jones' son getting picked up first, because she's used to doing that, or last. So you're trying to accommodate. So the community is like minimal impact. So throughout the year, things just get devolve, and it's just a little bit worse, a little bit worse. This impact chart tells you if you're about to make this change, this is the kind of impact. I love it. But man, I just can't believe that here's a trip that you barely change the distance from these three pieces. I gotta say, that's I would love to actually see how'd you pull that off. What kind of trip did you have? How bad was it? Like, again, it's the devolved side. It must have been pretty rough.
Well, not only are you getting Routefinder PLUS, which is an amazing solution, but you get all the brains behind Routefinder PLUS.
That's right.
That's a part of it as well. And I'll cite my personal experience too. I've had clients that utilized Routefinder Pro in the past. They worked on years to plan out changes. And in the matter of a couple of weeks into those changes, they've completely reverted back to what their trips used to be because of that public outcry, because students had a 30-minute swing in their pickup or their drop-off times, and that affects families. So again, we're informing you to help you make those decisions. It's a pretty drastic change, but one for the better. Did you know? Another idea that's coming straight from our clients, let's talk about it. Quick adding of stops. This is something that you can jump into even if you haven't even gotten to your map canvas or your routing palette yet. You can jump into the stop section in your trip info, and you can start typing in a student's name. You can start typing in an address point. You can start typing in the name of a stop pool stop, like the bus garage, as you can see on the screenshot. And that allows you to automatically add that onto your trip. So if you know all of your trips are bookended by going to the bus garage or bus yard and going back to the bus yard at the end, you can automatically add those before you even start your trip and get that underway. So again, something that we've been hearing from a lot of clients, we do the same thing for every trip. Is there a quick and easy way to add those bookends, or a quick and easy way to add on an additional stop that we know needs to be added on? Here's the way to do it.
How about the drag file though, right? I mean, just dragging the file right there in that bottom left-hand section. Like, what do you need to do that for? Well, many of you, actually, I think over 40% of you came from a competitive system. So what is the hardest thing to do when you go from brand X to our product is you have to redo a lot of that data, re-enter all that data. And by the way, it also gives you the opportunity to this is the right time to just redo everything. But it's a lot of effort. So clearly, you could literally minimally just export some files from your current, your X routing system, export it, and look, you could just drag it in there and starts creating these trips for you and these stops. All that's baked in there. It geocodes automatically. That is a massive time saver, right?
I concur. Quick add of stops. All right, so we got through everything I wanted to cover with Routefinder PLUS. Obviously, there are dozens of more really cool features and improvements, but I know everyone has lives to live, jobs to do, so didn't want to hold you for much longer than the hour that we have. So if any of these are of interest to you, or if you have further questions, you're dropping them in here as well. We'll be more than happy to get back to you with those answers. So thanks again for continuing to ask those questions and to give your personal insight into how you could use Plus as well. So Routefinder Plus, browser-based solution. On top of that, we have Stopfinder. Stopfinder is a parent app that's used to help track student assignments. And it's not just that, there's so much more. You can customize geo alerts that will notify user when the bus is in range. And then finally, you can create and send out announcements. They can be sent out to specific groups of parents or guardians, members of the community, and we've talked a lot about that in the previous sessions here too, but have a couple items I wanted to highlight just in case you missed them, or if we think that they could be beneficial for a lot of the parents and guardians in your districts. On the left-hand side, you can see an example of an announcement that's sent. It can come in the form of a push notification on a mobile device, which is really cool.
I gotta tell you, there's been a lot of feedback, obviously. And by the way, can we keep this a secret? Can I just share it with all of you guys? Next month, we're going to have some fun announcement and a brand new, obviously you guys know every couple of weeks you get a new update, enhancement to Plus, but next month is going to be a really large one. It's 2.0 of Plus. And a lot of people are asking, like, you guys have so many products, you got cool things, you could switch from one product to another. But man, I want to be in my routing system, right click and just somehow get to send this kind of a push. You will see that kind of stuff. And so you almost feel like you're in one product now. So clearly the push notification has to come from Stopfinder, but man, won't you like to be in Plus? You did your route, you did something and right click and somehow get to this screen right away. So a lot's going on with this. So I feel the Stopfinder communication piece is just going to get even better. Wait for even more announcements. So we're excited. It's one of my favorite products right now. Listen, I know it's Plus, it's out there, it's our baby, but I feel like Stopfinder is really an awesome, and I love the logo. Come on, it's a smiley face. Who doesn't like that?
Is his name still Stoppy? Is that?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so Stoppy.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Please, I'm fighting to make sure we still keep it.
We have a couple different mascots around Transfinder, so good to add another one to the group. Yeah, so a question came in from Jesse. Is Stopfinder and the push notifications, is it dependent on phone numbers, emails? It's dependent on emails. So if you're tracking parent and guardian emails already, you're a step ahead of the game. If you're interested in Stopfinder, that's something to start exploring too.
And we still are offering no cost for our clients. It really could be prospects too. If you want to use it just for communication, that is offered, is at no cost to you. It does, you get to use it till June 30th. So if it's something you want to experiment and obviously see what it looks like, it's still available till June 30th. So have fun with it.
Absolutely. People are using this all across North America, and the thing about North America, it's a melting pot. We have so many different cultures, and when it comes to having a lot of different cultures in a particular area, different languages, not just English, come into play. So I've seen Stopfinder be implemented all over the place, and one of the big questions we're getting from transportation departments is, we have a large group of Spanish speakers, or we have a large group of French speakers. Can we accommodate for that? And the answer is simply yes, we can. Spanish, French, and English are all viable options for languages within the Stopfinder parent app. On top of that, if you have a mixed household where one parent or guardian has French as their primary language and another has English as their primary language, you can have both at the same time. It's dependent on the user themselves.
A couple of questions about this, Dan. Great question. How all the stuff is all cool, and I think Dan, you probably already know how these products work, because you talked about what happens when you do a vehicle substitution. And of course, that's a big deal, because if the vehicle is not substituted, they don't see the stuff. And you're right, and that we've given you several ways to make sure that vehicle substitution happens today, and you also, believe it or not, you could even schedule a substitution to happen next week, because if you already know this vehicle is going to be in service, out of service, you're doing something, it's going to be on the lift next week, then let's schedule that. That way you don't forget it. Tons of way. Someone asked, is Plus already available? Why don't I have it? First question is, yes, it will be, it's 11 months it's been available. And two, why don't I have it? That's an amazing question. I don't even know how to answer that. We could fix that problem.
Yeah, I was going to say, if we want a remedy real quick, we can probably do something for you, Raj.
Really easy.
Yeah.
We're having fun here.
We are. So another question came through, just English and Spanish. We have French on top of that as well. If you are in a district or in an area where there's another language that's in play, please let us know. Again, we want to hear from you, whether it's marketing. I think it's my story at transfinder.com as well, where you can share that insight. We're always listening to our clients. It's where we get our best ideas.
So Napoli is the area where I just saw somebody just put this up there. Is I think you're talking about, is it Naples, Italy? Is that what that is? Or I'm not sure what is, am I misunderstanding this? Napoli, is that what that is? I think so. Right? That's good. So yes, please let us know. And I think once we're in a game of having multiple languages, having a second one, a third, and a fourth is really not that bad. So please let us know. Obviously, it's effort on our part, but the product looks the same. It's just the terms, the words. So we're obviously want to expand to as far as possible. But that was interesting. So thank you for the feedback. Keep giving us to us.
All right, something else with Stopfinder, not only do we give you customization options with languages, but we also give you customization options with time. And this is actually one of the newer features where we're constantly bringing out new versions of our products based on what our clients are saying. And one of the requests was, I live in a neighborhood where there are 20 different trips coming through here on a daily basis. But the trips that are applicable to me, to my family, are between 7 o'clock and 7:15 in the morning and between 2:15 and 2:30 in the afternoon. You can make your geo alerts time sensitive. And we've been talking about geo alerts a lot. Again, gives you an indication when a bus is in range. So if you want the trip that's applicable for your family and you want to trigger a geo alert, you can set up a time range. So you're getting the alerts that are applicable for you and your family.
And someone asked about the time range, so you could see we're already got our big toe and really almost our entire ankle in there. That's just in this time range. So you guys talked about where is it, the time range requirement for students being picked up. That's already happening. So that's right there is a good indicator. We're obviously, we have so many products, a lot of Finder products, and we're experimenting. We're adding some features there. Then right away we added back in there, but we got to get your feedback, because we are developing these products, and also you'll see some new products coming out next month too, at a record pace. So please let us know.
All right.
Speaking of record pace, how about this product? Wow. I guess that's probably another favorite of mine.
Well, we'll talk a little bit about this again. I couldn't keep it to just 10 DigiNodes for the whole project. I wanted, or all products, I wanted it to be 10 for Plus and a little bit more. So we have an additional one for Wayfinder here. Again, Wayfinder is one of our flagship products here, and a lot of big developments and improvements that are coming out here. To give you a little bit of background on Wayfinder and some of the considerations, allows you the ability to simulate a trip before you even get behind the wheel. So great for substitute drivers who may not be familiar with a trip, or for drivers who may not be familiar with an area. Drivers can also see and access their daily schedule. And then finally, this gives you the ability to navigate turn-by-turn directions, and you can take attendance on the fly. If the kids that are supposed to get on the bus, great. And if they also bring their 5 friends who typically get on another bus, you can account for that as well.
Can I also make a special announcement? You probably didn't even know about this, John. We had a different price model for Wayfinder. We've really been hearing a lot of our clients, they want to bring their own device. BYOD. Some people actually put BYOB, right? Which don't bring your own beer. It's bring your own device. So so we want to make sure it's the D there. But there's a lot of people coming back. So we've actually changed our price model to accommodate those people. So please, it made a lot of sense. So bring your own device, which means it's not going to be something we provide with the whole RFID scanners. We've changed our price model to really meet your needs. And on top of that, if you have 500 vehicles, or 300, and you only want it for your substitute vehicle drivers, perhaps, maybe you only want it for like 30 vehicles. Well, we've also are accommodating that too. So we made a lot of decision in past few days, just based on tons of feedback. So clearly this was designed for a district-wide license, but we realized, some of you don't want to spend the money on all 400 vehicles. Maybe you only want it for 25 or so. So we've changed our model, and obviously we're going to a user-based license, which makes sense. So I just want to let you guys know that was a big deal, which now we see even more demand. Bring your own device and use our navigation and attendance product with your own devices within. It's not provided by us. It just gives you more options. That's really it.
Great, and we're getting some questions on Wayfinder that we'll be able to answer. We're almost wrapped up with today's presentation, sadly enough. I know you're going to miss us all. But let's talk about the did you know for Wayfinder. Did you know that if you are adjusting Wayfinder on the fly, if you are saying this stop is not happening, you would be able to then automatically navigate back on path. Even if you take a wrong turn, you're able to navigate back on path here too. So something to keep in mind with Wayfinder, getting back on track.
Yeah, and I see the question about, is it available for Plus? It's about to get released for Plus. So we obviously have a version for Routefinder Pro and a Routefinder Plus version. There are some advantages on Plus, and why is it advantage? Because the routing algorithm and all those travel scenarios for those of you that have Plus, you have so much more at your fingertips for the routing and the mapping, that all that information is available in Wayfinder. So just keep that in mind. We definitely have it both for Routefinder Pro and Routefinder Plus, but just the mapping capability and all of that stuff. Now, the routes look the same, but when a driver goes off path and you said, I don't want the driver to take that left-hand turn, well, it's very difficult for you to do this in Pro, and Plus it's just a right click and you got it. So, I think if you want the best experience, you might want to upgrade to Plus. It works great in Pro. It's hard for me to say right here, saying, oh, they have the same functionality. Yeah, it looks the same and all that. But on the back end, if the driver takes the wrong turn, you want to fully control how you want to go back on path. And Plus is off the chart when it comes to that kind of stuff. Was there other questions? I think I saw some other things here. Zonar Tablets, obviously that's where we initially started, that it would be on a Zonar tablet with an RFID card reader and so forth. So yes, it would, but also it could just bring your own device, and there's a lot of value of that. We see drivers, maybe that you allow them to install it on their own device at home. When it's a substitute driver, you could just say, hey Rick, you're going to be driving Bridget's trip tomorrow. So now Rick could know what that is. He actually could do the substitution himself and check out the trip at home, at the living room, on the couch, whatever he's doing, to actually just look at it, maybe simulate it. That way tomorrow morning, he already knows where to drive, maybe make himself some notes, all that stuff. So there's a lot going on with this stuff here. It's close second to Stopfinder, and I love the logo too. I know, it's hard to pick, right? You have 3 kids. Which one is your favorite? Is it your firstborn? I think so, right? Your firstborn's got to be a favorite, or is it the lastborn? So
as a middle child, I will politely disagree with you.
Okay, good. Well, I'm the lastborn, and I have to be the favorite, so it must be, right? So clearly, Plus firstborn, Stopfinder second, and now Wayfinder's third. So.
All right. So we got another question here too. We'll think about the answer and get back to you, but let's also launch the poll. We're all about surprises here, and we have some more still to come, but wanted to bring this poll to your attention. Got to make sure that you have a full understanding of what Transfinder has to offer. So Bridget, would you mind launching that? Perfect. All right. So of the following solutions, please check all that Transfinder offers. Again, it could have more than one answer here. So GPS and in-vehicle tablets, parent applications, student attendance, turn-by-turn voice navigation and route simulation, and web-based routing and reporting software that you can access anywhere. So we'll give you a moment here. Go ahead and choose the options that Transfinder offers you. Tony, while they're doing that, looks like James is asking, do we do the equipment install for the tablets?
James, great question. So we, if you're going with the Zonar total solution with the tablets and all that, yes, we would recommend, and there'll be a company that would come to your place, and based on how many devices, how many buses they're going to be installing, there's a rate for that. But yeah, I think you want that. There's been some exception. We've heard some clients of ours saying, hey, I had it already. We've deployed Zonar solutions. We know exactly what needs to be done. I think we could do it ourselves. I mean, we've heard that. There's always exceptions to the rule, but 80, what's the 80-20 rule is get it installed. And I think there's a lot of reason why you want to have someone else install it. The warranty, and by the way, and another time I'll give you a funny story when we first started with GPS, and I was able to get it into a vehicle a few years ago. And of course we show up, it's like, all right, go ahead and install it. I'm thinking, I brought nothing. I thought we were gonna have a mechanic, and all of a sudden they open up the entire fuse box. I don't know what it's called, and all those wires. And of course I had to get a selfie. I'm like, holy cow, I guess I'm gonna be doing a Home Depot run here. And like, I had no idea where to start. I'm like, I feel like it's one of those like 3, 2, 1 to cut the blue wire. Like, I didn't even know what to do. So clearly, get the professionals to do this.
And by professionals, that could be MacGyver as well, right? So let's get the poll results. Bridget, what are people saying? All right, so the options are, again, GPS and vehicle tablets, parent app, student attendance, turn-by-turn voice nav, and route simulation, and web-based routing and reporting software. So we got over 70% for all of these, and people are on the right track. We offer each and every one of the options here. So if you checked all 5, did you feel that? It was a pat on the back. You did a great job. Even if you got 4 out of 5, 3 out of 5, now you know we offer all 5 of these for our clients. If you want more information, please, please, please let us know as well. All right. With that being said, we want to say thank you from Tony and myself. As I teased at the very beginning, though, we're not done yet. We got something coming for you in April. Tony, you want to talk a little bit about that? Something special is coming up.
We are going to have, again, we're not departing. We're going to still do this. It's a lot of fun. And I tell you, it really gets us to think about how our product should be presented. We got tons of feedback from you. So we actually learned so much from these events. So we're going to continue doing these things. So what's up, right? Stay tuned for what? What are you guys up to? Well, like I mentioned, Plus turns another birthday. So it's official, the April 6th, 2020, when we released Plus 1.0. Well, guess what? We're gonna have a big birthday bash next month. So we're gonna celebrate Plus's birthday. It just gets that much older, like wine, it gets better. So we're gonna have, we're gonna be releasing 2.0. So it's gonna be a lot of fun with that. So I can't wait till you see that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for a lot more information. Everyone on here, I know some of you still have Pro. By the way, we have 20% of our clients that within 1 year, and that's very fast, within 1 year went from Pro to Plus, significant. That's at a pace that we never could imagine that. Clearly we went in early, maybe we could have slowed it down a little bit, but the demand was so big. So thank you for you guys believing in us and actually making the transition such early phase. You're really the early adopters. You came in there really strong. So, and thank you for giving us tons of feedback that we made so many enhancements. But at the pace we're going, if it takes us 20% a year, we got a lot more years with Routefinder Pro. So I just want to make sure you know that that's a great product. We think, we spent 2 decades with that product. We're going to continue supporting it. It's still working with that product. But clearly, when you go from Pro to Plus, it's not the same level. You're going off the chart. It really is. And by the way, it's all those features that so many of you have said, I love Pro, but I wish it had these things. And so this is what it has. So please keep giving it to us. We want the good, the bad, and the ugly, and that's how we got better. So thank you so much. I feel like there's so much here. So right, the birthday bash. I wonder what we should wear. I mean, I'm already thinking what type of outfit we should have here. Should we have some birthday hats? So we'll keep it interesting, of course. And remember, you have something to share. My story at transfinder.com.
And we're getting some questions in here about state-specific regulations. I know that there are some states. We're mentioning Tennessee in the questions section. I know Alabama has specific rules about tablets. Is it in your sight of vision? Is it not in your sight of vision? We have dark mode. So there's a lot of information, a lot of safety features that we have in place that can accommodate for most state regulations. So again, if you have specific examples that you want to go through with account executives or anyone else here at Transfinder, we are more than happy to talk to you all about that.
Got a question there. Would Plus get global replace? Yes. Global replace is tons of functionality. We've actually improved that functionality in Plus. Initially, it was just a basic, but now it's even better. So yes. So for those people that asked that about global replace, it's really nice functionality, and it's going to get better. We know that data entry, all that is key. It's key to everything you're doing. So yes, so have some fun with that. And by the way, we have rebranded some of those things. We took something that's like global replace. I don't know. So we called it mass update. So if you're looking for what, I don't see global replace. Well, it's a little icon on every data source, and it's called mass update. And by the way, it walks you through a wizard. So you change someone's name midterm, it's like, like when you get married and some people get, when you get married, you change your name, like you got to change everything, right? You have to get a new social security card, new driver license, like everything. So, and let me tell you, in Italy, women didn't change their name. Do you know that? They didn't do that. So the women kept their same name, and but same thing. Like, what do you do with this new terminology? We want to improve it. Again, we're always thinking about your experience, so we change it to mass update. So if you're looking for global replace, like when is it going to have it? Well, if you have Plus, it always had it. It's called mass update. I know.
All right, we're getting a lot of things coming in, and I know we're getting close to the hour. A couple more things I wanted to talk about, and I will do so quickly, I promise. We're getting some questions about features. When will this be updated? When will this be improved? We are constantly working on updating our versions, our cuts of Routefinder Plus. We have a pretty great system in place where we're doing that on a semi-regular basis. So somebody mentioned geocoding in the comments. I know for a fact that we have some great improvements with geocoding that are coming out this weekend for Routefinder Plus. We have Jen who's asking about some of the other features as well. We'll be able to give you specifics on all of those. Usually the release notes are 50, 60, 70 different features that we're improving, performance areas that we're getting better. So there's a lot of information that goes into those releases, and if you need specific information, please let us know. With that being said, thank you so much, everybody, for your time. Is there anything else we need to cover? No, Tony, this is your show, Tony. Parting words, 4-part series coming to an end. Please, play the saddest song you can in your office.
Well, the good news is we don't have to play any sad. This is actually, it's a continuation. This is really it's the beginning. It's the end of the beginning. Is that what that is, right? How do you even say that? So
Beginning of a beautiful friendship.
It's exactly it. It's really the beginning of a beautiful friendship, right? We always just begun. We have a lot to share with you guys, so thank you. But remember, I know some of you guys have got some feedback saying when you're going to improve certain things. Keep pushing that. We're going to keep communicating with you on what's going on with this. There's a lot of products at this point, so we're going to try to do our best to keep you up to date, especially as you get these products. It's not like, oh, good, I just did my hard part, just get them. No, the other part is just to keep up with us. And our job, John, is to make sure we keep educating you guys. And that's what it's our job. We have to do this. And again, someone just went on a webinar. We know we have webinars. I mean, I did some stats a couple of days ago. The amount of webinars we did in 2020 is just crazy. And already in just the first 3 months of the year, we've already had so many webinars. Please join them, sign up. These are free to you. And that's where we deep dive here. These, John and I are going really at the 50,000 foot view. Some of them we went down to, we dove, did a nosedive to like 12,000 foot view. But get into those webinars because we're going right down to 100 foot every once in a while with almost touching the ground. So get in there. All right. So enjoy. Spring is coming. Let us know if anybody reached 100 degrees, okay? Take care.
Be safe. Be well, everyone. Bye.